Hello, truth seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So, spiritual enlightenment or spiritual freedom is about you. It's about pointing fingers at yourself and figuring out why there's a struggle, pain, fear, conflict present in your life. It's never about the world. It's the inward journey, backward journey towards the truth, the inner truth. Now, the inward journey is definitely going to be tough for sure, and you are facing it right now. If you are being part of the spiritual journey, you're facing to maintain, facing this struggle to sustain the inward journey, to prolong the inward journey, isn't it? There's so much ideas resurfacing in your mind while you're being part of the inward journey. Why you're facing those struggle in the inward journey is because you have always been part of the outward movement. You know, the world is full of colorings. The coloring means, there's a fun, there's a fear, there's a drama, and all those coloring makes the outer movement more engaging. No doubt, we also feel the fear from the outer world, and when the fear is there, we run away from that. So that running away from the world is also the coloring. Whatever experience we go through in the world, brings certain ideas, and those ideas are likes and dislikes. When it's about when the experience come as a likes, we be part of that, and when the experience come in a way that we don't like, we reject that. So there's a dynamic flow, dual flow, comes from the experience. Now, being part of the world is easier because that's our life, From the morning we will open the eyes till we go to bed, it's all about our outward journey. And that has become our conditioning, habits, And when life is like that, in that flow, and you're trying to step back from the outer world to be part of the inner world, in the beginning, there will be friction. Anything you try new in life, it's always going to be tough. Especially the inward journey is going to be tough. And your focus is going to break. The reason the focus breaks is because, the inward journey, there is no anchoring point. It's about looking at yourself, and, it's about letting go of that mental dynamics. So you are moving from the fun to no fun. So when you are stepping back away from the fun, the ego self doesn't like it. The ego self is all about fun. It's all about drama. And when it's sitting in silence, just to start with the silence and sit with nothing, that is already a fight with yourself, isn't it? Can you sit with nothing? There's a fight. There's a boredom. There's unease. You feel unease in your own skin. You feel strange in your own body. And in the beginning, you might feel this is bullshit. That's why people give up the inward journey and jump into the mundane flow, the usual habits pattern. They catch up because that's where, life feels comfortable. Even the life feels comfortable on the outer movement, notice that there's a lot of struggle, physical struggle, mental struggle, the emotional entanglement, and then the further, psychological entanglement. And all that is coming from the place of experience. And all experience leaves the idea. The idea has been collected in our own mind. We collect the ideas and we prolong our lives from their ideas. And prolonging certain ideas has become the conditioning. And because of that conditioning, now we are trying to maintain certain, flow in life. And when we are trying to make something permanent, we are going against life, against what life has to offer. We're rejecting what life is trying to show. And going against life is a constant struggle, constant drama, constant, constant limitation. And because of that, we are, trying to seek remedy by associating with the spiritual path. And when we are aligning with the spirituality, when we have to sit with nothing, we are fighting now. There was already a fight outside because of the world, the engagement with the world. Now you're sitting with yourself. There is a fight. And when you are sitting, when you don't see the result, it's easy to jump back to the worldly flow. Because the worldly flow is more practical. That's where you make things for yourself, even for day-to-day flow. Everything happens, happens in the practical world. That practical world supports your livelihood. And sitting with nothing, and that itself is against the practicality. So because of all, when you see that though, being part of the world gives you the result, sitting in a silence doesn't give you the result, that logical sense in you already, make you give up the spiritual path. But this is the truth. By being part of the spiritual path and by being sincere in the spiritual path, it's going to show you the truth. The process is going to show you the truth. And by seeing the truth, you will be able to free yourself. You will be able to, set yourself free in the practical world. Because the spiritual path will show you the truth in you, and in the process of seeing the truth will also show you how your mind works. You learn the nature of the mind by, you learn the nature of the mind by being part of the inward journey. So you see the truth, you understand the outer world, your mind. And when you finish the journey, when you see the truth, then your outer movement will be, will be also solved. No doubt, you have to put yourself in the world to be part of the world to make things happen, but you won't have that inner drama in you, the mental drama in you. The mental drama is the fear, the conflict in you. You see things as it is and you move along. And, that can be done from the spiritual path. But if you just be part of the outer world, the practical world, and you ignore the spiritual path, what happens is your mind will never find ease. Or you will never find ease, from your mind. The mind is a chatterbox. It's always on the run, always creating stories upon stories by you. You're thinking, you're creating a story, and the mind is not stopping because you don't know how to stop. So when you can't stop your mind, you listen to your mind, you create a further story from your mind. In your mind, your life is, already entangled. Now you're further entangled. And and this is what happens when you are entangled by your mind, and you're also seeking the solution in the mind, where the mind is false in the first place. So that means you're trying to seek the truth in the realm of false. And that journey will never end. You might see the inspiration ideas, the upgraded ideas in the mind, but but there's no freedom from the mind. One of the reasons to seek align with the spirituality is to be free from the mind. So to be free from the mind, you must part of the spiritual work. And the spiritual work is not about adding any more stuff in your mind. The real spiritual work is about looking into the mind and deconstructing the mind, not adding layers in the mind. This is another issue happening in the world. People seek the spiritual path, and while being part of the journey, people start to, add more layers in the mind by inviting, spiritual references, and while being part of the journey, people have already added one more layer in the mind as a spiritual layer. The reason to being part of the spiritual path is about dissolving the mind, including the idea of freedom, which is spirituality. Now, being part of the process, the spiritual layer is added, and people have a hard time letting go of that spiritual layer. So this is another bondage, another limitation, especially when you add the spiritual idea in your mind and you're working with the spiritual idea. You see sudden change in your life, through control, through, creating a boundary. You see the result. And when you start to see certain result that your life is, shifting in a more positive way, that spiritual ideas ingrains in you. And you hold on to that because that's the highest idea, isn't the highest meaning in life. Spiritual meaning is the highest meaning. And when that ingrains in you, when that becomes a stubborn layer, that means you're stuck now. The real freedom from the mind, the spiritual freedom, is about letting go of this, spiritual self as well. You're letting go of all the self, all the identification you have created. True freedom is about letting go of all identification, all self that you have created, including the spiritual self. You cannot hold on to that last resort. You have to let go of that as well. If you don't let go of that itself, is the wall that you're creating, that already shows that you are attached to that, because you see that as a life source. That must go as well, because otherwise that will become another drama in your life. So, you have to, be aware of yourself. You have to be aware of what you're attached to. And enlightenment or spiritual freedom is about letting go of all the attachment, letting go of your mind, and becoming the no mind. And no mind means no self. No mind means, freedom from the mind, freedom from the fear, freedom from the conflict, freedom from drama, freedom from the struggle. And that's the freedom, my friend. So, spiritual freedom, enlightenment, is about pointing fingers at yourself and working on all the attachment in you, including the spiritual attachment, must go. So, the highest attachment is the spiritual attachment. You can look directly today. Why am I attached to my spiritual path? Understand that the path is about letting go of all paths. So, if you see yourself, you're attached to the spiritual path, you ask yourself, why am I attached to my spiritual path? Or you can work on any layers that you're attached to right now. But whichever layers you work on today, by seeing the friction in your life, or even a joy, you work on it. Why do I experience friction from whatever you are, feeling the friction? Or why do I hold on to my spiritual path? Why am I clinging to the spiritual journey? So this is the way to go backward. I have already shared many times that you can use any life scenario, the moment in your life, to go to the truth by tracing your experience backward. So ask why. Why am I experiencing certain things, and why certain things are creating the fight in me. You use the why to go backward to figure out the root cause of the fight, or the root cause of the attachment. And once you see the root, you ask why at the root, why you're maintaining it, and the why is going to help you go further back to figure out the plain sight truth. The backward journey is the way to figure out the truth. Okay, I hope this video makes sense, inspire you to some extent. If you see it, then follow your mind backward, follow your experience backward, and see what happens. Okay, thanks for watching this video. Take care for now. See you in the next video. Bye.